So it's 8:50 a.m. in New York City, and Dean is in Southeast Asia. And welcome, Dean. The little introduction I wanted to make is that I feel so grateful about all the people that I met on the healing path. And there is a mutual respect and there is understanding and learning on the same concept. So I studied closely with Dean after my Barbara Brennan experience, which was between 2012 and on. Maybe right before the whatever happened in the world, we want to call that event, that kind of brought us all back into consciousness about where we are in life. So I wanted to say that, Dean, I read your bio. You have a long history on energy healing, and you specialize on cords and cords between people, relational cords, energetic relational cords. And my first question, Dean, is what would you say is our lineage? What would you say is the philosophy behind the system? For someone that doesn't understand, cords, what are cords, and who studied these? What would you say you feel is the culture or the ancient studies that this is based on?
That's a big question. I mean, the first thing I would jump to actually is that we as human beings, we grow as people. We grow as throughout life, through different life stages. We grow through relationships and through the ending of relationships. And that's not me saying that. That's probably Freud or someone like that. But without relationships in our lives, we don't come out of our inner world. We don't break through our fantasies about the world as we think it is. And our connections with people get us connected to reality. And also our connections with people reflect ourselves back to ourselves, so we get to get more in touch with our authentic self. And the idea behind chakra cords is very similar to my work with the astral world, which is the world of emotion, spirit, interactions, again, that change us through contact, as well as change us through the loss of contact. We often are changed as much through losing someone that we loved, a parent, a family member, a divorce. We're often changed by loss as much as we are by gaining and connecting. So all of the wiring of that, the energy body wiring of relationship, is in the astral body, and the astral body reaches out to others through cords, chakra cords, relational energy cords, to feel the other, to experience the other person, and ideally let them experience who we are. So there's a two-way flow. And when things get stuck in that relational flow, that's when an energy healer can be very helpful to sort it all out.
Yes. So just to, makes total sense. Just to summarize a little bit for our friends, the beginner stages, there is different bodies. There is the physical body, there is the energy body, there's the astral body, and maybe there is beyond. But in our contact with people, those cords, which obviously a healer with a training is able to see this cord, is able to perceive this cord, either by sensing the cord, all the clairvoyance or clairsentient, all that, those abilities that we cultivate with time. Right? Yes. In school, we learn that, in energy healing school, we learn that everybody is able to. It just takes practice and dedication, right?
That is definitely the old Barbara Brennan school of healing teaching line, Okay. After doing this for several decades, I would say probably modify that some people are better at it than others. You don't have to be able to see the aura to do relational work. A psychotherapist does relational energy healing work without touching the body, without knowing anything about the energy body. And I think what Barbara Brennan, the brilliance of Barbara Brennan, was to bring together that psychotherapeutic perspective with the potential that understanding and working with the energy body, both the auric, the chakras, the chakra cords, that bringing together those two disciplines, those two bodies of knowledge, actually enhances the healing process and enhances the personal transformation process. I no longer believe that everyone can do it, just the way that, I love music. I can't play music. I'm not a musician. I can sing a little bit from my church choir days, but I'm never going to be a cellist, a violinist, but I can appreciate. So the same thing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being less inclusive than I am. Thank you for taking the credit for this. I appreciate that. I understand what you're saying. What I was two things I gather out of your response. First, that even people who do not know that they're working with the energy cords do work with the energy cords on a different level. For example, with conversation, with interaction.
Yes.
Simple interaction, people outside, we do work with the cords. Let's say we enter an environment and we feel like it's very aggressive to our bodies, or it feels embracing, or whatever is a vibe, we work with the cords. So that is one. And the second is that I meant that most people, if they work on refining our gifts of remembering and seeing, some intuition will come. It doesn't mean they will become energy healers or doing surgery and stuff like that.
Yes, the more you do it, the more you're interested in this field being not just energy work, but spiritual transformation, emotional healing, relationship healing, healing from family traumas, things that happen within our family with important people in our lives. It's all related to the same process of connection and ultimately disconnection, loss, as well as connection. So that's what the chakra cords do as a structural kind of function between people. And we do have other ways that we refer to it. We refer to the heartstrings, the connection between a mother and her children. Every mother knows this. Actually, fathers do. Fathers also, but mothers feel it, pulling on the heartstrings. I think anyone who's loved someone and then that person has pulled away, maybe out of fear, they felt the loss, so someone pulled a plug out of their heart. These are very normal things. They're just different ways to experience chakra cords as a function. But there are different ways to access it. The way I access it is a combination of the Barbara Brennan skills, but also I've combined a lot of other skills in there, shamanic skills, traditional magic skills from 16th, 17th, 18th century. There are lots of different ways we can approach this chakra cord healing of connection. And training helps, but I think also interest is the main thing.
Yeah, it's like a passion.
Yeah, and you end up buying huge numbers of books, and trying to read what other people say about it. I'm sure you don't have that problem, Sylvia. Too many books.
Definitely do. Right behind me, mostly are all around me. But yes, I appreciate that. I have to tell you that we have some deep questions that came from our friends and kind of our audience. But
yeah,
I want to jump to a couple of them that were really inspiring for me. First, I want to say that the last many years I'm very inspired by astrology, by studying the stars and feeling the connection. I don't want to say the influence. I want to say the connection we have with the universal forces, the forces of the elements. And what is your experience? How are the astral bodies or planets or stars? What is the relationship between us and our energy bodies?
As an astrologer, as someone informed about astrology as you are and many people on this call are, there's a whole world, as you know. The planetary energies, the alignments, how those alignments impact your birth chart. This you all know. But for me as an energy healer, the planetary energies are resources and also necessary reference for the greater world, the celestial world, not just the physical body and planet Earth, but we have, as you know, all these other energies. And if you look into traditional magic, if you look into a past where Many people have studied this, done exploration there. We find that each planet has a planetary intelligence, has an archangel, has spirits that work with it. And of course, as they move through the spheres, interacting with each other and interacting with our birth chart and the planet, place where we're living, that all these shifts and all this potential is revealed as both a clearing process, but also a confrontation process. Again, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir to astrologers, but that can be utilized, those energies and that information base, I think, is a good resource for energy healers to tap into.
Yes, I think that it adds such richness. Instead of having a map and looking up and oh, this is that and this is that, and kind of like feel like I can say that a lot of popular astrology is just repeating the same expressions as characterizations of the planets. Somebody said Chiron is the wounded healer, and then from there everybody's saying Chiron is the wounded healer, and we're continuing. But the question, the magical, magnificent question is, how do you feel when Chiron is in certain position? How do you feel in your body? How do you experience that body? And the richness that an energy healer can bring with their gifts. And again, I want to say, it's time to take our power and say, yes, this training allow me to see, allow me to do this work. Is different than, as you said, perfect example. I'm not a musician, but I am an energy healer, and I can see the chords and I can work with the chords. Which leads us to the question. It was one of the questions. How do you see, and I know you have articles on your website about this, how do you see energy cords? Is a dual question. How do you see energy cords, and what do you experience most people come to you with? Most people come with a heartbreak, or most people come with exhausted energy. What is the common, what do you see? What do you experience with your vision as an energy healer?
The main thing I start with is I trust that the client that comes to me, and they come to me either because they've worked with me in the past, or they have a referral. Pretty much most of my work is referral based. People who work for or giving my name to other people. The first thing I look for is, why did they come? What's drawn them to do a very specialized form of energy healing, which is also a therapy. It's also kind of an energy therapy. Along the lines of the Barbara system, where you don't just go in there and extract and remove and off you go about your business. You're actually giving the client tools, life tools, so that either they both get out of the problem that they're in, the challenge they're facing, but also then when the next challenge comes, they can draw on that new set of resources to take their lives forward, evolve forward. So in a nutshell, what I'm listening for is why they came. I do a lot of inviting them to send me a pre-session email to write about what's going on with them. And this also includes people I'm working with ongoing, because I want to, ideally, in my best day, listen to why they're coming, but also listen to where the resources that they're trying to build in their lives. What hasn't been supported in their lives, we want to organize the healing around. What is offending or distracting to them, we want to pare down so they can see what the issue is. And then the cord work and the astral work can begin, because now we're working on something that is meaningful to the person. I'm trying not to put my overlay of what I think, God forbid, what I think they should do. I want to listen deeply, as deeply as I can, then draw on my resources and my training, my spirit support team, to bring to the client what he or she needs to get to that next level. And so that's the first thing. I mean, if there was a second thing, it's I'm looking for, is there potential for small change or huge change? Personally, I'm happy with small change, right? Because that small
increments, little by little,
over time add up. Tortoise and the hare, they add up. And if someone is looking for a big change, often they don't have the patience or the tenacity to keep on that journey. And in that case, I'm probably not the right healer for them. They want someone, with magician's hat and a magician's wand. Actually, I have a magician's wand over there. But that they're looking for something magic. Whereas therapeutic healing, as you know from your Barbara Brennan days and other things you've done, it's a hard work miracle. But when it's here, it changes your life forever.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It does. I have experienced that improves relationships and improves mostly the relationship with ourselves.
Totally.
Because we mature. There is maturity. And also there is awareness of how, of course, for a healer, for us, it's very important. Every moment, how we interact with the person, what our energy field is doing. We're very aware about it, and then we're able to work with it. I want to say that it comes in my mind as we speak. Of course, it's very organic and beautiful. That my communities, how open certain communities to the idea of magic and how others are not. How open are some communities to the idea of something that it's a hot potato and it's difficult to touch, religion. Some people say it's only one person or thing or energy, So those things I am aspiring to discuss in different platforms and occasions, because it's such a rich field of that we could explore and share. Because as you said, when we come together with people like that, the knowledge is a mirror.
Yes.
And we can bring out beautiful things. There were way more questions. For example, we had a very deep question about how is our relationship with people that pass, being the fact that we just came out of Halloween, and some people are like so enchanted by that. So I will ask you that, and then we will go to discuss about your programs now and then closing.
People who pass, well, if you're lucky enough to get old, more and more people you love pass on, go to a different place. They reincarnate, depending on your belief system. I tend to think there's a reincarnation process with a short healing between in spirit before you move on. But I think working with the dead. Let's just get brutal about it. Working with those that have passed, both personally, people that have passed, people we've known, parents, children. My son passed a few years ago. That impacts you, and it doesn't have to be an end. And I don't believe it should be an ending of the relationship. The relationship can continue. In the Catholic Church, for instance, you light a candle to celebrate a loved one. Something as simple as that, as powerful as that, actually on a regular basis, can connect you to someone who's passed on. But it can even go beyond working with the heritage. I mean, that's a whole piece in itself. Working with your heritage, generations that have passed, grandmothers, grandfathers, perhaps you never met them, but they were there when you were born, or they're still in spirit watching over you. It's a part of the healing. In addition to that, and this touches on the magic, it touches on traditional Western magic, you can also work with, one of my teachers calls them the mighty dead, people who've died 100 years, 200, 300 years ago, and they still can tutor you. They can still guide you. They can still, if you do the right connection, again, relational cord, in this case, it's not person to person, it's person to spirit, you can still receive support. Of course, you've got to make sure it's the right person that you're talking to. You don't want to be talking to a mysterious spirit, a lying spirit, someone who's, giving you a sob story. You want to do the work to make sure you're connected to the right kind of spirit being. But again, that's another resource. And in the Barbara Brennan School, it was accepted that the spirit guides would just come when you wanted or needed, which to some extent is true. But the more professional I think you are, the more work you do. At some point, you've got to get curious to add to your resources. I really want to work with Agrippa, or I really want to work with Jung, or whatever. You want to get that extra support. And the spirit world, in my experience, often is willing to help you. They want to be useful. They want to be useful. Some of them just want to cause trouble, but a lot of them, like people, they want to be useful.
I'm very excited, Dean, because although I think that we're, for many people, sounding very out there, I think it's wonderful to voice these things and share these things, and the people who are ready are going to receive it,
That's exactly right, and that's why you don't need to convince anyone. You don't need. I mean, it's good to know your stuff, be able to explain yourself. That's important. But the right people are drawn to the right teachers, the right path, just as you've been drawn, I know, to different paths. All the heritage work you've done, constellation work, energy healing work, your dance work, all these add to our exploration of self and our healing process.
Absolutely. And I would like to recap for everyone and say to welcome to everyone who is watching. We will retitle the test to the regular title and save this video for people to watch on their own timing. The inspiration for this video was not only my work with energy healing, but specifically the work with Dean Ramsden as a specialist for relational energy fields. And we work in different programs, in different work, personal and collective, on the chakra cords. And my inspiration for also personal that kind of gave the spark for this conversation from astrological point of view, the fact that Venus, the planet of beauty and love, and she happens to be born in the island that I was born, or I happen to be
One of the
born
most
in the
beautiful.
island.
I love Cyprus. I love.
Thank you for sharing that. And on another sharing, we will talk about your visit there and the inspiration of the master that was there, because it's in my mind. So the fact that Venus moved to the astrological house of Libra, Libra is the house of relationships, and I happen to have a ascendant in Libra, and there is a lot to say about the ascendant sign, but there is a very strong sense or desire for balance and for justice between relationships. There's a very, very strong sense and longing, not only for myself, but also for humanity. And so when the scales are tipping and the relationships, as you said, are not equal, then one of the two in the equation feels it, And so,
Especially.
yeah.
Another, if I may just interrupt you for hold your thought, reproduction, birthing something, those energies, those Venusian energies are also part of birthing something new. So every cycle comes to an end, and then there's a interim period, as you know, and then a new cycle begins. So birthing a new life for ourselves after the old life is finished, finding a new relationship that works after the old one didn't work out or someone changed their mind, as people do. So those are Venusian energies that are really, really important to understand and, as you know, flow with, make sense of.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So this was the inspiration. And the other, this was the beautiful, and the other part that, and we work on this on the past, the deep desire to understand, and you have an article which I missed, and I'm going to go on your website, about the kind of deep and kind of dark aspect of slavery and energy slavery in humanity. What takes our power away? And this is something that I think we all feel it when it happens. A person, correct me if I'm wrong, usually asks for energy healing when something is off. And they don't feel completely themselves, like they don't feel the power, the strength to really shine in the world. And there seems like it's been proven that something is changing, taking that power away, and many, many things. And so that is a part that work of an energy healer can do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it also shines a light on the healing process, which is not static. It's a moving process. Often we come into healing with a problem to solve, a pain to heal, a wound to clean up in some way. And once we do that first part of the healing work, then we get ourselves somewhat cohesive, somewhat coherent, somewhat in balance with our lives. For me, that's when the real transformation work begins. The transformation work doesn't begin in the wound, healing the wound. It's like the wound is now healed. And now what do you want to do with all that creative life force? What do you want to do with your life once the wound is no longer dominating it? That's part, again, of the therapeutic process. In the Barbara Brennan system, which you and I share, it's the process of learning the characterology, how each character structure distorts the authentic self and the development of the self. The ideal, as I understand Barbara, having known her for a long time, is the ideal is to get to a place where you can start experiencing your core self, your own essential self, outside of the defense. And at that point, the core essence healing, the core expansion, the sense of being a spirit being as well as a human being, that's when your life really begins.
Yes, it is the arrival point is the authentic self, feeling and being and flowing. Regardless, what there can be many things in the field of the story that happen, like you said, somebody changing their mind, a loss, a family stuff, stories. But the more we come to the authentic self, the more vibrant, the more alive, the more flow happens in our lives, and it's really beautiful. Thank you so much for the sharing. Would you like to share with us the programs that you're running right now? What is inspiration for you right now? What are you working on at the moment?
Well, I'm just coming off a year or 18 months of really kind of pulling back and doing a lot of inner study, inner work for where I wanted to go forward with my work. So I started with, well, I won't bore people with my whole history, but where I want to go is to deepen the understanding of Western magical practice. And for people that don't think magic is like pulling rabbits out of hat, the magic I'm talking about is the deep wisdom tradition in the Western culture. I mean, it's there also in Asia, but one of the reasons I'm here, but it's in the West, where there are techniques, there are initiations, there are ways that you can grow yourself past the wound, past the fantasies or imagination that we all have about who we are, into higher forms of contact with the universe. So traditional magic contains all of that. So I just came out of I worked with Japanese students, and we started to integrate the basics of the elements, the 4 basic elements, into their healing work with chakras, with chakra cords. So we had a day on fire element, we had a day on earth element, we had a day on water element, and how to bring access to those powerful forces of the universe and bring them into a healing to support the client. Yeah. That's just one doorway. I mean, beyond that, we can work, as we started out in our conversation today, working with the planetary energies, working with the archangels associated with each planet. And also, if you really go the distance, working with all the different hierarchies of spirits. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you can't get to the manager. Sometimes you got to work with sales staff, and
the offices. We have to go to the office.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to see the manager. Well, the manager's not here, so I'm to talk this lower spirit, who has a bad attitude. So these are all tools. There are all resources. And if someone's scared about the spirit world, if they think the astral world is, Salem, and you're going to get burned as a witch, then stay away. It's fine. There's so many other things you can do with energy healing. There's so many things. But if you're drawn to, let's say, to get into the trenches of personal transformation healing and deepen your connection with the universe and find your place in the universe. And if you're a healer from a place of service, on a good day, some days you want to take a day off. So there's a lot there. And so long story short, I'm developing a series of classes that'll start early next year, probably end of January, beginning of February, to take people through the different levels of interaction with very basic magic and also relational work. How to bring it and make it practical. There are many magicians out there, much more informed than I am. So there's plenty out there. YouTube is full of magicians teaching stuff. But what I want to do is make it practical within the therapeutic energy healing world, because I think it has a lot to offer. And dear Barbara Brennan is no longer with us, but I don't think that she would object to that. She probably wouldn't come to class. She probably wouldn't come to magical class, but she'd say, Dean, go away and develop it. And
Yeah, exactly. She gave you the blessing. She gave us the
Give us
blessing to,
all of
and that's
yeah,
part.
blessing.
Yeah, yeah. She gave us a blessing, and that is part of having a lineage and recovering more of your essence, and then you fly out in the world, and you know. Dean, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say how good it is to remind ourselves how being with like-minded people or people who understand this language raises our consciousness. Because if you constantly, I will take it from myself. If I constantly downplay myself and try to, we all are in this and that, and you constantly kind of diminish your power or your perception so others can accept or understand or mostly not feel threatened, you suppress yourself. You kind of suppress yourself. But if you open the doors of communication with people that there is the level of understanding, like musician with musician, then they create a beautiful band, and then everybody's listening to the music and like,
jam.
oh,
Got to learn to jam as a musician. Again, I'm not a musician, but I love jamming sessions. Famous musicians come together and they play off each other. They admire each other. They listen to each other. And I think actually that would be a great thing to look for in the future, because we have all these very well trained healers, teachers, people with different experiences, different backgrounds. Bringing everyone together, bringing all the healers together, and jamming together, enriching the world of healing. Again, I'm talking for poor Barbara Brennan because she can't talk for herself, but that was one of the visions she had, was to professionalize energy healing, to really elevate it so that people could learn from each other. Even though she's off there ready to be reincarnated and come back and cause trouble, we can still do that work. I think it's a world calling. It's not, it's not just her vision. I think it's our vision.
wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it's about 9:30 in Southeast Asia p.m., 9:30 p.m. And what I will do right now is I will save this video. We cannot edit it, unfortunately, on this platform, but I will save it with a proper title, and so we can share with our groups in our pages. Yeah, and thank you for the inspiration. This was really, really great to
your idea, and it was a first for me, and I've enjoyed it immensely, and happy to do more. We can drill down into specific subjects and or questions that people have, or I'll take one of my articles from my website. Shameless promotion plug. DeanRamsden.com, all lowercase, all one word. Take an article from the site, and we could talk about that. Again, to professionalize, to reach out, to enrich each other. And I'm sure you, with your vast experience, your life experience, you could add to it, and also you and I, would learn together.
Absolutely. I will post the links under our video. For sure, I will post the links. I'm very excited, as the last thing I wanted to say, to read the two articles, the one about the types of relational cords and the other one about transference. I'm looking forward to read those.
So much important information, and it's not about you learn it and then you forget it. You use it every day. You have to use it. It's not, am I in transference? It's, how am I in transference? So we have to keep working. Like going to the gym. You just don't go to the gym once. You've got to go every week.
Thank you so much, and have a good night. Thank you, everyone who watched or we will watch.
For watching, and see you next time.
Yes, see you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.